Hello to everyone who's watching. Um, Here we have with us Miss Sheeba John. Sheeba, would you like to
Yes.
introduce yourself?
Certainly. Thank you, Rebecca. My name is Sheeba John, and I am the head of academics at the Chaman Bhartiya School. But I also teach all the four subjects, the four core subjects to grade 5
To grade
students.
5.
Yes.
How many students are in your class?
There are about 13 students in my class.
Nice. And
Yes.
how's it going right now? What's the vibe of your classroom?
I think a lot of words that come to my mind. Excitement, enthusiasm. There is fire, there is energy. They're excited to learn and they're excited to contribute, collaborate. I think the list is endless.
Even math?
Absolutely. Because I think it's the way math is delivered to the children, and it is about how, rather than it being taught in a didactic manner, but then if the child is given an opportunity to engage in hands-on and knows that it can be applied in n number of situations in their own lives, then it becomes very personal and it becomes an intrinsic motivational factor to learn that.
Right. With this COVID situation, we can't have students come to school and be in class with us. How are your students interacting with one another? Like, how is it going with this online platform? Like, what's happening there?
Sure. Okay. So the way a class goes on is, it sometimes starts with an observation. Sometimes it starts with a question, or sometimes it starts with a warm-up activity like a starter. It could be rolling dice and then say, okay, fine, let's go ahead and make an 8 or a 9 or a 10-digit number. And then who would like to go ahead and say it in numbers or in figures? So it basically warms the entire classroom atmosphere and it prepares them to what's in store, in the next couple of minutes. So this is basically, so it starts with a starter. And then thereafter, of course, whatever topic is in store, we go ahead and engage that. Now, it's a very good question about how children are engaging in the process of learning and how also they're collaborating. Now, since they are on different screens, right, they're not physically together where they can actually use a manipulative to be able to answer a particular question. So how do we go about doing that or achieving that particular objective? It is about putting them in groups. It is through projects. I remember there was a project that I gave was a deca tree. It was all about a farmer having a tree which has got 10 trunks and each tree has got 10 branches. Each branches has got 100 leaves, 100 twigs, and each twig has got these many leaves. And if the farmer went about chopping apart these many twigs, one trunk, these many branches, how many is he left with at the end of it? It was a completely brainstorming session where in their groups they had to reason out, they had to work together. They have to say, okay, fine, he's cut down one trunk. So if he's cut down one trunk, these many branches are out, these many twigs are out, these many leaves are out. So they had to literally work backwards in order to be able to find the final solution. And it was an absolute success because they were charged up to share their findings with the class. And then some of them didn't get it. But that was learning, because for me, I personally believe that one must fail in order to be able to learn, because that is the stepping stone to success. And for me, I personally believe FAIL, which is basically fail, is first attempt in learning.
That's great.
So I think it is through these kind of scenarios where children get together and they learn from one another through collaboration, through discussion, through immense listening to one another. And I think I can say that grade 5 children have grown so much in the last 2.5 months where they're learning to listen to one another rather than just saying, Miss Sheeba, I want to contribute. Miss Sheeba, no, it's about also listening to one another because they're learning to value each other's opinions, ideas, inputs.
Right. So in the CBS pillars for the curriculum, there is one that we refer to as creativity.
Correct.
And for grade 5, what are the projects that have brought out the creativity?
Okay, yeah. And I can refer to, in science, we've been learning about digestive system. We've been engaging, I would say, where I'm not standing there and showing them a PowerPoint presentation and I'm telling them, okay, these are the parts of the digestive system. This is the function of this particular part of the digestive system. No, it is again through collaboration. It is again through them showing what it takes to be able to see how the human digestive system works, right from teeth till,
Yeah.
right? So the idea is, but before we even started that particular topic, we talked about food, right? I know it's a long drawn process when it comes to the food entering the mouth and it going through the process that it goes through. But before that, let's talk about what is healthy food and what is junk food. So one of the projects that they did was to be able to come up with slogans, and the idea about the slogan writing was, think about you as individuals, you as students. Think about, are you developing healthy eating habits?
Right.
How much of junk food do you input into your system, and what negative things it can cause to you, basically. That being said, children had to actually reflect into their own lives and see, oh, I eat a lot of junk food, Miss Sheeba, and I think I really, really need to look at that. So it was basically learning about themselves, their bodies, their own selves, about what kind of food they are eating. So the idea was about having them write different slogans, and as they're writing, they're also reflecting. They're introspecting. It's like, oh, mister, it's so much easier said than done, because they're saying, oh, it's so easy to preach to somebody else, say, hey, stop eating junk food. But when it comes to you emulating it, I think that's a different story. And this is where I think they learned about, and some of them, in fact, even reflected. So, Miss Sheeba, I'm making conscious efforts not to eat that chip packet. I am drawn towards it, or the candy, but I am making conscious decisions not to engage in eating a lot of chocolate, at least before bedtime, if not during the entire day, right? So I think it's that. So it was a self-reflective project that they did, wherein they had to reflect. Right. And then after that, of course, they also talked about teeth. One of the things that they actually talked about
I was there for this session.
Right. So this was, again, highly motivational part of the week's learning. And the reason why I say children, again, got into groups of 3s and 4s, where I gave them, okay, you 3 work on what was the structure of the teeth. Okay, you 3 or 4 of you work on the different types of teeth.
And there was also one for history.
Correct.
Of dental care.
Right.
It was really fascinating to watch that.
Yes.
I really liked it. When you talk about teaching them to reflect, we also talk about teaching them to react to what they reflect on. And also to combine that with the teacher training that happened today about sustainability. How do you incorporate the idea of sustainability in your classroom?
Well, I think there's so many different ways. I think one of the ways that I think I personally got completely convinced about was about eating the right food, right? A balanced diet, and about wasting food, right? A lot of times, because we want to eat, and food is attractive, right? What you see right now is so attractive, and it is made attractive so that we give into that particular temptation. So we actually plate so much in our bowls or whatever, and then we literally give into it, correct? And but then your system tells you, no, I think this is the limit. And what happens to the remaining food? It lands into the bin. It's about reflection again. What can you do? So it's not about me giving solutions to the children, but making them think, what can you do about this particular? What can you do about the remaining food? Do you really need to actually take so much of food? It's not something that I'm going to tell, but they are going to actually draw it from their experiences, saying, all right, it's wise actually for me not to put so much on my plate. Take only how much ever I need or I could. I could perhaps go for a second serving, right? There are times when you would want to, and then go ahead and finish what's in your plate. So you are actually developing discipline into your life, and also that you're thinking about so many people, and especially in India, because it's a developing country, you're thinking about so many people who don't have a meal a day. Whereas here you are wasting food. You're in sustainable goals. You are embedding in them the idea of saving, preserving, conserving,
So
and that's
true.
what the meaning of sustainability is all about.
Yeah. Okay, so if I could ask you just one last question, I know we've exceeded time and everything, but if there's one thing you want your students to take with you as they leave from grade 5 to grade 6, if there's one thing you want to make sure you have taught them, what would it be?
It's a very deep question, I would say. I'll have to say one thing is enjoy whatever you're doing. Don't do it for the sake of doing. Be convinced about it. Because once you're convinced about it, once you've embraced it wholeheartedly, you don't have to put any effort. It comes spontaneously. You just absorb things. You become like a sponge and you absorb everything that surrounds you. So I would say enjoy whatever you do. And I think there are ways that you can actually make yourself enjoy, whatever you're doing. Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your time with us and your thoughts with everyone. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheeba.
Thank you so much.
All right. So that is the end of the segment for today for Teacher Talk. Thank you to everybody who tuned in to watch it. Stick around because tomorrow we have brand new topics we're going to discuss. So thank you and goodbye.